Welcome to Roundtable. My name is Pankaj Upadhayay. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome tonight's guest, Rashmi Ravindran. She's a fellow filmmaker and also a student of mass communication. She has been a media practitioner before she emigrated to Australia full time, and also pursuing her interest, vocation, and passion in media studies and filmmaking while still living in Sydney. So today, allow me to welcome her, and also let's understand what she is currently up to and what is this SAFFA Film Festival that she is part of. So without further ado, introducing you to Rashmi Ravindran. Hey Rashmi, so good to meet you virtually. Please tell us more about yourself, Rashmi.
Well, I would like to call myself a storyteller. Like when we say mass communication, that sounds like really heavy. It's more about there's so many different formats to explore right now. But I'm primarily a TV producer and a filmmaker. And I've been working, I would say, for about 12 to 15 years now, I think. I started my career in India and then I've been in Australia since 2016. And it's been really interesting to find to work in a new country, and also because there's such few of us, it's like such a strong community of filmmakers. We have to like support each other in terms of resources and stuff. So it's been really nice and kind of a satisfying process to find my feet here in Australia.
That's lovely to learn about you, Rashmi. And I also read up that you learned media studies. You're a mass communication professional from India, and you've attended some very elite institutes back in Delhi.
Yeah, I finished my mass communication from Jamia Millia Islamia at the AJK MCRC from the 2010 batch. And it was a really fun time, a very creative time. And it's been a really interesting year for us because 2 years ago, my seniors have been nominated for the Oscar. And again, this year, my classmate has been nominated for the Oscar, and so Jamia is really producing some really great filmmakers. So I feel really proud to be part of that.
Yeah, I think Jamia Millia Indian Institute of Mass Communications and Communications, I think, studies in Delhi. These are some of the premier schools. And also, I think this one, Nirma Institute of Communications, I think in Nida or something in Ahmedabad. I think these were the premier media study schools when I was aspiring to, join forces with media studies. I'm incidentally a student of St. Joseph's organization in Calcutta, part of the Xavier Institute of Communications, where I studied filmmaking. But that was like a 9-month course, not a 3-year bachelor's or a 2 years master's.
So it doesn't really matter, right? It's about getting your hands dirty. The reason I decided to go to film school was just to have that little bit of time where someone will just give me an expensive camera and say, "Jo karna hai kar lo." Like you're allowed to have that freedom as a student without the pressure of budgets and do you know anybody and networking and industry, or will this film sell or not? That was the only reason I went to Jamia. I was already working in a production house. And I think a lot of people continue their career without going to school also, because I'm sure I know that it's like what you learn on set is most important than what you learn in the classroom.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I'm truly intrigued here, Rashmi. So what interested you about media studies or broadcasting or filmmaking for that matter? Being a woman, and also from a country, India, where usually the right professions are not really filmmaking. Okay, I mean, the parents either encourage you to become engineers, doctors, or managers. What was your story?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I did science when I went to 10th, 11th, 12th, and I liked it. I wanted to be a doctor, but I was really bad at maths and physics, chemistry. So I did not succeed in the entrance. But it was also, I studied literature. I ended up doing my BA in literature. And I always was like, I love stories so much. Like I'm an only child. So, I was the annoying child, always pestering my parents, kahani sunao. And then I would read the whole library, so after a while, I when I did literature, I found that I was seeing the images in my head, like when I read a novel or I read a book, and I just really wanted to learn how to show what I'm seeing to other people. And I think and even I was telling my husband the other day, like even in my crèche or, when I was playing in school, I would be directing my friends, like we would be enacting scenes. And then obviously you do theater in school and college. So I always enjoyed storytelling, in any form. And in India, there are so many options. Like you have puppetry and you have theater, and film is just another medium that's just there. And I had to fight a little bit to get to study filmmaking, and the Jamia entrance is not easy.
No,
I
not.
did not crack it the first time, but I did top when I did go. So I think that was okay. I could satisfy myself that way. But yeah, so that's why I just really had to fight for it. It was really difficult. I was told many times that लड़कियों के लिए मीडिया अच्छा नहीं है, like, don't do this. You will not get marriage opportunities. That's the most important thing. You have to stay out late at night. You have to, how will you go to set? And in fact, when I was in Delhi, those were challenges. Like I had to move to Bombay to find my feet, because ultimately it's not about, oh, whether a girl can do well in this or not. It's about whether she can safely get home or not, whether the systems are in place, right? What are the expectations?
When I was growing up, I was told the same thing, exact same thing. Just it was a role reversal. I was a boy, I was a man, and my family didn't approve of the uncertainties of the storytelling world, the filmmaking world. Even despite me wanting to fighting back that I want this is what I wanted to do. I was painted a picture which was not very hunky dory, and I also experienced uncertainties when I was working in production for some TV content creators back in Calcutta, and I also moved to Delhi, to pursue my love and interest in media studies, and eventually to Mumbai to continue doing that. But eventually, I got sucked into corporate jobs. So, have a similar background. It's just that I could not pursue media studies as seriously as you did. And I congratulate you for sticking to your guns and doing it, and also pursuing your love here in Australia and in Sydney. So well done.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, I had a lot of support from my partner as well. I have to shout out to him, because when I came here, it was not easy. Like, I came with about 10 years in television and the uncertainty in Bombay. Like, I never dared to get into production because I did need to pay my bills, and, I had to have steady work. And we know that, like, the people who pursue filmmaking, at least then, like a decade back, it was a very, unless you had some kind of a safety net, as it is with so many artists, you have to have some kind of financial safety net to be able to pursue it, unless you are from that background, your family is in the business. Thankfully now it's changing due to OTT and so many digital modes of filmmaking existing.
Absolutely.
But when I moved here, yeah.
Yeah, I think the information technology has also changed and transformed the world, how we perceive. And media studies or filmmaking for that matter is now no longer perceived, how it used to be, maybe 15 years back or 10 years back.
Yeah.
It is considered
exactly.
as a profession now, and also looked up with much more respect than previously.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, the glamour of it, like, I mean, I'm sure it's not the best paying profession, I would say, but it's definitely very satisfying. And if you can find your feet, it's a really wonderful and satisfying profession. So when I came here, I actually did have a lot of struggle in finding work, because mostly filmmakers don't migrate. Like, it's not it's like IT professionals or somebody. And I didn't migrate for work, I migrated to be with my partner. And after like 1 year of just constantly getting rejected, I was telling him I should just go into another industry, and he said, no, it's okay, you should stick to your guns, it'll just take some time. And but what that did was, not having that safety net of a job, like a TV job which I had in India, it forced me to like embrace my original plan to be a filmmaker and to pursue my independent filmmaking, full time. Like, I became an entrepreneur, and I had to learn to pitch for documentaries, and I actually ended up doing work here. And the interesting thing was when I was in India, I used to do mostly English programming, like, because NDTV, and I was in the English sector. But then, yahan aane ke baad, like, because I connected to community, my Hindi skills and my Malayalam skills became my strength. Like, because I could tell stories about the community that, might not be so easily accessible to the mainstream filmmakers here. So, it was a good flip. And yeah, then finally I was able to land work with like a full-time job with a national broadcaster. But I'm also doing my independent filmmaking on the side. And I love that. Like, there's so many filmmakers who come to Australia now, and they're IT professionals, or they may be corporate professionals like you. And you know कहीं दिल में मतलब इतने सालों से दबी हुई वो आस, they able to finally have that freedom to finally pursue their dream here as well. Like, they're making their shots, and that way, they're able to get that confidence without the judgment of maybe some more pressure back home. And also because this OTT world has opened up and you're able to connect and pitch in different countries. There's such a hunger for like niche stories, right? Like, you can tell a story about a very small thing which may be very personal to you, and it will resonate with, you have a million audiences to watch it, unlike it's the same old hero meets heroine story that's so out of the window now. And same with documentaries. When we were growing up, it was like documentaries were only for arty people or intellectuals. Nobody was watching. Now, thanks to OTTs like Netflix and Amazon, everyone's watching documentaries and documentary series and appreciating them.
I cannot not agree with you more. Okay, Rashmi, so that brings me to the next segment of this podcast, this video podcast. Uh, you're part of SAFFA Film Festival, which is an upcoming film festival here in Sydney. And I think you're the vice president and also part of the founding team. Please tell us more about this festival and also how it connects the South Asian diaspora here.
Yeah, so the SAFFA is the South Asian Film Festival of Australia, and it was founded by Vivek Kumar and Vikrant Kishore, who are both filmmakers in their own rights and really into filmmaking and film festivals. And that began as an idea. And, I have the label of vice president, but actually it's such a small team that we are all working very hard and, trying to make this community event happen. So it's a film festival. It's happening on the 17th and 19th of March in Sydney this year. It's a 5th iteration, and we are very excited. The idea was that because, being in Australia, the South Asian community melts together. We have so many languages here. We're able to connect with filmmakers and artists from Pakistan, Bangladesh, all over the South Asian diaspora, India. So those boundaries that maybe exist back home are not so strict over here. And we thought, why not have, and I think this is the thing that we all enjoy the films of each other's countries anyway, right? So why not have a festival which allows you to see those films together? And it was a focus on kind of new filmmakers, short filmmakers, because they sometimes don't get a platform, and the more of a screen that they get, the better. Like, we wanted to showcase their work on a big screen. So yeah, this is the first iteration, and we're really excited. And we're going to be showing 23 films. So they're short documentaries and they're short films. And then there's a special section for Australian filmmakers of South Asian heritage. So it's really exciting because we've had film submissions from all over the globe. And yeah, we're really excited for everyone to see them. And now we also have the closing night film, which is Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, which is the story of a migrant mother fighting against the government, And so that's something I think all the migrant community and the general community in Australia are going to really enjoy. So that's happening on the 19th. And it's going to be showing in Blacktown Heights. So yeah, please go and follow SAFFA.Sydney and the South Asian Film Fest Facebook page to find out the details.
Okay. You spoke about the Australian filmmakers also, part of the festival, and also their films would be shown here. Do you want to touch upon this segment, about the Australian filmmakers, especially from the South Asian diaspora? What are the platforms available to them, including SAFFA? And, how somebody who follows their passion for filmmaking, for visual storytelling, how can they how can they participate, if not this year, because obviously the deadlines may be over? How can they participate next year, and also how can they continue to collaborate and contribute to the local filmmaking scene here? Any tips, considering from your experience here working for
Yeah.
a national broadcaster?
Yeah, for me, it was like, I think we just have to be patient. Like, initially, people can get very disheartened in like the first year when they venture out, if the films are not getting selected for festivals or if they're pitching and it's not happening. So, the first thing would be to create a community. So for that, join as many Facebook pages as you can. There's so many great filmmaking pages, and which gives you tips. And I found everyone is so helpful. Like, if you have any questions, like you need a place to shoot or you need recommendations for a camera person or whatever, you can just go and ask, and there'll be like 1,000 people to help you with that. So, use the power of social media that we have now. And also connect with diverse communities, like, because your people are your people ultimately, and they will help you more in pooling resources. I have found so many people excited for my films, like appreciative of them if I need some help. But you just have to take that first step. So I got a break because there was a Parameta Filmmakers Fund that was launched by Diversity Arts Australia, and I applied for it, and fortunately I got it, and that opened so many doors. But more than the professional doors, I would say it was really interesting because I had so many people come for my screening just because I'm South Asian, and come and say hello and say, hi, I'm also a filmmaker. I was so excited to hear about your film. I didn't know them, I didn't invite them. They just showed up, and they're still friends to this day. And they also, they are fellow filmmakers. So, and they're fellow cinematographers and things like that. So I've hired them for my projects, and so created this little community, so you need that team, right? So I would say, yeah, connect to more as many people as you can, support them, and they'll probably support you back. And it's a, you never feel like, don't wait for permission from anyone, don't think that you're not enough, like you're a migrant or you're South Asian, so your stories or your language doesn't matter. Just tell your story and you will find people to connect to it. Don't look for approval from what you think is uh, an expert.
Okay.
There's nobody an expert in today's world. Like, an amateur is better than an expert, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I think professionals built the Titanic, as they say, which sank. So I think the world is anyway ruled by amateurs. So, okay, moving to the next segment, Rashmi, and a personal segment too. What were the challenges that you faced when you all came up with this idea, the concept of SAFFA, and how Australians, and especially South Asian Australians, can make it successful together?
Yeah, it's been a very exciting and challenging 6 months, I would say. It is a mammoth task. We did not want to charge a fee for entry because we wanted it to be open to as many people as possible, and so because of that, we did have a lot of entries. We had more than 2,000 films that we had to sift through, find a process, and we've been looking for sponsors. We also have a fundraising campaign going on. This is a not for profit, obviously. This is just for the love of cinema. So, if you can go out and support us, please do that as well. And yeah, so हमने like धीरे 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 करके build किया, and धीरे धीरे करके resources जमा किए इसको execute करने के लिए. But we've had a lot of help. I would say a special shout out to Taneem, who is a film distributor and producer here, and he's been so helpful, as part of the core team. So yeah, everyone's played to their strength, and we made it happen. Yeah. And I think we have a good, strong festival happening, and people will be excited. I think there is a myth that, oh, like migrants may not be interested if it's not a mainstream film, but I think we all love watching shorts and we all love stories. It's in our blood. So people will come out and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, film festivals, I think these are excellent platforms for not just storytellers, but also people who are interested in watching films which they may otherwise not watch or may not come to know about. So I think film festivals are great platforms where creators and audience alike can interact and experience those stories, which otherwise may get missed. My filmmaking journey restarted because of a film festival when I immigrated to Australia, and I remembered, and I happened to work with a colleague at my workplace who was an ex-afters student, and he was one of the award recipient at Canberra Short Film Festival when I was living in Canberra, and he tagged me for an upcoming competition at Canberra Film Festival because
Right.
every second of my time, at workplace, we were discussing Christopher Nolan or James Cameron or Satyajit Ray or Anurag Kashyap, Anurag Basu. So he just tagged me on one of the posts that Pankaj, hey, we discussed film so much, just pick up the camera and do something about it. And I think that's how my journey restarted. So I think film festivals are great platforms, and everybody, from everybody who's watching this video and listening to this podcast, please follow the social links of SAFFA, and let's extend our support and help. Rashmi, moving to the last segment, pick
Yeah.
up. Okay, that's my favorite segment too. Pick up one film director who inspires you, and tell us what about that filmmaker that inspires you.
Oh, that's like there's so many, and it's like being a kid in a candy store right now with filmmaking. I would say, just because I'm always looking for female directors who inspire me. I really love the filmmaking of Aparna Sen. I think she shows, it's like you watch a film and then you think about it later, like how you think about the image that you saw. Many years later, also, you're still thinking about that particular scene. Kabhi Kabhi Aisa Hota, right? So I find her films really poetic, and, something like Ammu, for example, it's about mental health, and I've never seen mental health portrayed in such a interesting way. Or and the second one have to be Meera Nair. I just think her film is just so real. Like her characters are like real, and you really know them. I mean, growing up in Delhi, I think, yeah, I recognize all the figures, and she narrates these stories with so much sensitivity and empathy, but also so much humor. I would love to learn how to do that in such a subtle and fun fashion. Yeah. But of course, I mean, every other great filmmaker is also good. Like, I have my
Yeah, not
favorite.
many, not many female directors, that we have heard of, but there are some notable names, and also cinematography is a very dear subject to me, and I think there are some great, films being shot by women cinematographers also. Uh, and of course, we had some magicians with film editing as well. I think Sanjay Leela Bhansali's film, he's a film editor, but I think Renu Saluja, if I'm not mistaken, is his sister who used to be his film editor previously.
Yeah,
You
previously
know.
a lot of film editors were women. That seemed like, I guess, the safer option because they wanted, but that was like one way. But obviously, an editor is very important. But yeah, there's so many DOPs now. I've been watching, like, so many Marvel episodes are directed by women now, and there's a Canadian director called Vandana, forget her surname. She directed this series called The Fall. And it's like just seeing those surnames, it's like, I'm sure you watch films and then you see the credit and you see an Indian name or a South Asian name, and immediately you're like, yes. So it's like that for me. And I don't think there's a gender thing to it. Like I think you know, I don't care about my gender when it comes to filmmaking. It's more about being a storyteller. People will be surprised that I actually love like very dark and very horror, like those themes. I think if I direct, like I also have a very quirky and sense of humor when in my films. Hopefully, like whenever I do more fiction, so gender has nothing to do with it. But yeah, just because of the systemic reason. Like when we want to name the great directors, immediately our name goes Nolan, Ray, Michael. But yeah, you need to learn the names of more female directors. You need to pursue it deliberately. And it's the same thing with SAFFA and South Asian names as well. Because, when you're looking at Australian directors, हमारा भी तो नाम दिखना चाहिए उसमें. So, we're hoping that you'll get to see some directors and later when they make the feature, you'll be like, yeah, I saw this person's work at SAFFA and I remember them and, I've been following their work, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
That's heartening to know. I'm a fan of Zoya Akhtar, Rima Kati, and this lady. I keep forgetting her name. I'll remember.
Yeah, Rima Kati's work is also very, very interesting. I really
Farah Khan. How can I forget? Farah Khan, big fan, really. Farah Khan.
And very different in their filmmaking, as you can see. But
comedic films, yes. Like for example, Main Hoon Na and Happy New Year. So I thought those were good commercial films, and especially the way Farah Khan does her end credits. Of bringing everybody, from the cast and crew.
I really enjoy that. You're like waiting for your favorite star to make a guest appearance.
Very unique. Fun. Yeah. Yes. So, hey, Rashmi, talk about some films from some of the countries that have been submitted, and any favorite of yours.
Yeah, we have like films from India, Nepal, Bangladesh. One film from Afghanistan, which is a very interesting experimental short documentary fiction called Colorless. But my favorite will have to be this Nepali short. It's a very sweet film called Naya Juta, or New Shoes. And I don't want to give away too much because it's just a 3-minute film, but it's one of the sweetest take on the caste issue that I've seen. So this is the interesting thing about SAFFA, because the issues and the conversations that are going to be had are the same across South Asian diaspora in various countries. So this is like an opportunity for all of us to kind of also see those issues together on screen and talk about it. And obviously introducing Australia to, all the amazing South Asian talent that is out there, which they might not know of.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you so much for that information. Anything about filmmaking excites me, and I will be, able to experience, witness, watch some very good drama unfolding on a big screen very soon. How about you? Thank you for watching this roundtable with me, with yours truly, Pankaj. The ticket link is still active for SAFFA Film Festival. Please show your love, show your support. You can find the link information in the description of this video, and we wish to see you in huge numbers. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you. That was it. I'll record my...
I didn't expect it to be so formal, but okay. I hope it was okay.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.